Hey everybody, it's Chris with Pure Canine Training. I'm here to tell you 4 different ways that you can succeed with your dog. The 4 are motivational, physical, verbal, and visual, just in that order. And I'm going to get right into it and explain each one in depth. But first, I just want you to understand that I have 10 years experience. I've hired multiple different trainers. I've done all my homework. I've trained all these dogs and hundreds of other dogs. So with my experience, these are the 4 things that I have learned how to tap into by using every skill I could imagine. Figuring out how to motivate the dog to be the most positive, fun, stress-free, safe routine that I can go exercise out in public. So stay tuned. We're going to go over the 4 things: motivational, physical, verbal, and visual. But before you forget, hit that subscribe button. Like, follow, share, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and check out my course, purecanintraining.ca. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I live for these dogs, train any breed that I can. Yeah, I live for these dogs, I'm teaching them all the plan. Whoa, oh, oh. Yeah,
All right, so the 4 things that you really need to understand to create a successful routine anywhere you go so your dog can learn to navigate their surroundings safely and properly with just verbal commands is the end goal with this routine. Here we go. The first one, motivation. And motivation is a huge one. And what you have to understand is we need to use everything possible to connect with this dog, to make and bridge that gap of communication, to be able to create success as fast and as structured and positively as possible. So motivation is a huge one. Motivation comes from your emotion, being fun, being giddy. I don't want to get too emotional right now because my dogs will break their position and I don't want to have to redo this. The other one is bribery. We got food, we got different values of food. We got the wow factor food, we got your kibble, and then we got your regular treats. And you learn how to juggle all this on my course. And then also we learn how to do motivation in the direction of training. So when your dog's doing a recall, how to get down low and offer hugs, and how to do visual aspects, which is going to be one of our things. The visual aspect to really motivate the dog, and also the sound of your voice, the physical connection, all these things you're going to understand into one big picture that will ultimately give you a very, very well-behaved, well-mannered, obedient dog in any distracting scenarios you go into. So motivation is huge. You got to learn how to be positive, put your emotion into it. Don't let the stresses of your day affect your dog. Time out your routine and your lifestyle throughout the day so you can train at times where you really can focus and give him the proper enthusiasm and engagement you need to succeed. And then also understand it's not about the quantity of time you train, it's about the quality of time. So if we got to train short and frequent sessions to get a better result, that's what we're going to do. You always work on your dog's strengths, build up their weaknesses, all these things you're going to hear on my course, and it's going to help you succeed and understand your dog when you get into training, so you know how to read and how to progress your training, how to understand if there's any setbacks, any mistakes and things, and how to ultimately proof and create a stronger success, a longer downstay where they don't break. Really put the test and the challenge to the dog so that when you test and challenge, you can see, okay, my dog will stay for 5 minutes while I go in the store and not move. And there's other tests to really challenge your dog. So motivating them to stay in position for you as long as they can, because all they want is you to come back and give them a reward. By the end of my routine, the dog will want to work for just your enthusiasm and your engagement and your happiness and pleasure. And I tell you what, when you actually succeed with dog training and you teach your dog something, you get butterflies and you get that authentic emotion, and your dog senses that, and your dog will want to get that out of you more. And it's really, really unique and special how we bond and relate to our dog through being emotionally connective to them by bribery, motivation, and everything you're going to learn here. So we're going to move on to the second one, and the second one is physical. Now, physical is important to the dog because every time we speak to them, if we connect the leash with a little pull in the direction of you or in the direction of what you're asking, with you'll learn on my sit stand down video about how the spine works and the direction to pop to get your sit down stand. But the physical side of it really connects with the first three things, like I said in the beginning of the video, because it all synergizes in the routine. If they hear the voice, they feel the connection, they feel the emotion, your enthusiasm, and the fun in it, it leaves behind really strong words. So, Mando, sit. It's important that you always pull the leash and give a little bit of communication every time physically with the dog. Also physical is to physically manipulate the dog into position. So if I have my dog in the heel and he kicks out, I just simply grab his butt, push him straight into position, and every time he does that, I do it again and again. And this comes down to even the little dogs that when they're walking with their owners and they're reacting to dogs and people just pick their dog up and carry it, that's physically correcting the dog for yapping, picking it up and showing, hey, I can just pick you up and carry you. When you do that to a dog, the dog submits and realizes, you know, I don't have any ground here. But then again, you get the odd dog that you pick up and will continue to yap, and that's that feisty guy that you're holding back and keeps yelling and really wants to get at that person, but really when he gets there, he doesn't know what he's gonna do. He's just got this bark and this fight in him. So, coming back to the physical attribute, there's a lot of ways to physically tell your dog, hey, I'm gonna put you back into place simply like this. He goes out, I put him back, and he realizes, hey, mom or dad can just kind of pull me back, even with a leash, to pull them back into heel, to pull them behind the line, like you learn, to keep them behind the line, pull them back. And like I say in all my videos, if you can't pull that dog back, you shouldn't be walking that dog. Otherwise, you might need some equipment, which I'll talk about too, into lengths to help you, give you the upper hand to be able to pull that dog back. Otherwise, I've seen people get their shoulders thrown out and get injuries because of walking powerful dogs that are disobedient. So, if you can't pull that dog back, maybe don't be walking that dog. Physical is a good way to communicate with the dog and to leave behind a residual understanding. Whether it's a leash pop, positioning, picking up, blocking, entering the ground of the dog. Sit. Just to even step in front and enter in front of your dog. Down. Little leash pop in the direction. And of course, everything is consistently the same. The physical routine, what they see from you too, the way you do your performance, hands at your side, the way you walk, grab the leash, the way that you do your movements. You'll see in my routine how we systematically get it so we can get the dog to stay without saying stay, be able to back away, come back, reward, back away, go wherever, come back, reward. Tell your dog to stay, talk and do a video like this. You know, they move a little bit, but they stay, come back and give reward. When you teach your dog this and it's systematic and proper, again, it really leaves a strong foundation of training. So the third one, which of course the first two really relate to the third one, is verbal. And the verbal is very important. Your words have to have meaning. You have to stand behind your words, be consistent on your words, and don't let other people ruin your words. And to get really in depth of this, I was so strict that I would actually make cards. And if I had guests come over that weren't using my words, they could talk to my dog with these words on this card because I didn't care if he listened to them or not. And then I would have the words that are my training words. And if they talked to my dogs, they had to pick up the leashes and deliver it properly. And I would teach every person how to handle my dog so that my dog was never regressed. Because if people are doing different things to your dog and calling them different names and saying different commands, it becomes confusing. The language becomes too broad, too big. We need to keep it simple, short, and easy. Pick your words, stick to them, and also don't repeat your words. The more you repeat your words, the more they're going to ignore you. When my mom asked me to clean my room, you know, one more game, I could get away with it. I knew 3-4 times, and then I probably had to do it or she was breaking my game. So they figure out the limits to push you. You give the dog an inch, they take a mile. So let's really focus on having intent behind our words. Also, every time we speak, we have the physical feeling, the pull of the leash. Every time we speak, we have the emotional feeling, whether it's happy and giddy, neutral or calm, or hey, sit, good, sit. The tone they respond to, it's very important that you learn how to control your emotion and deliver your emotion and tone at the times it needs to be delivered, no matter what's going on throughout your day. Stresses and all, put that aside, focus on your dogs, and learn how to be that character and that actor to encourage your dog to be the best they can be, because that's what we're trying to do here. So, with the verbal, we're connecting the leash pull. Just imagine this, and I'm going to tag a video in below that will demonstrate how their mind connects to what they hear, what they repeat, and what they get rewarded for. And it's just a video of a hand where the guy has a fake hand, his real hand, they touch the fake hand and the real hand at the same time, then they stop touching the real hand. Cersei, sit! They start touching the fake hand. Next thing you know, he hits the fake hand with a hammer and the guy thinks it's his real hand. And that's my theory behind connecting all 4 of these training strategies I'm telling to you right now. So every time I pop the leash, I say the word and I put the emotion into it. If I do that hundreds of times, and if I was to talk to you and say things to you and poke you hundreds of times, hey, how's it going? And I poked you every time and I said the same words. I finally don't poke you and say that word, you're going to think about all the times that I poked you. So just think about how it leaves that residual effect. So as we train in non-distracting areas, communicating with these clear skills, and then we go and train in distracting areas and build it up, you're going to have the verbal, the physical, and the motivation behind the routine with those first 3 deliveries. So and the 4th one is visual. And I've noticed that visual is something the dogs really pick up on quick, and they really recognize and associate. And as I've always explained, dogs learn by association. So visually, if I'm doing my hand signals, whether it's feeding from the hand, when they see the hand drop, they know right away. I know everybody's seen that dogs pick up on that. There is so much more, whether it's the foot that we lead with, the stay we lead with, the hand signals, our body language, even the way that I do my stay, the way that I walk away and do a quarter turn and come back, walk away, do half turn, come back. I have a systematic routine on my course explaining on the 4 spot routine and the training ground routine how to set up a very strong foundation of stay, especially with the spots, and the systematic of association, routine, visual. The visual would be these spots. They also feel it under their feet, and I'll explain that, or you'll see me explaining that in full length about the associations of how they feel under their feet to solidify a really strong sit stay with carpets, spots, and all this, dog beds and everything. But visually, you're really able to connect with your dog and show a repetition of things that they associate into training into the first 3 things even. So the motivation, the visual, the verbal, and the physical. When I'm calling my dog in and I'm trying to be visually motivating, I get down and I do this and I get really excited. Or like you've heard from a lot of trainers, I'm sure, when you're calling your dog back to you, you don't run towards the dog, you run away from the dog, which again is a visual thing. He sees you running away, and when you're getting further from your dog wants to get to you faster. And that's one way to connect to all of it, to motivate your dog with wanting to get to you faster by running away visually. And then we engage verbally and physically, visually and emotionally, and you can make a really strong connection with your dog. And ultimately what's going to help you succeed is a strong relationship where when you communicate with your dog, they will listen. And the best way to build it up, the fastest way to build it up, is to have all 4 of these things, the knowledge of how to deliver it clearly, consistently to your dog so that you can have the best success possible. And clearly I got some work to do. So I'm going to get back to work. You guys get to work. I hope you like this video. I hope it helps. Like, follow, and share, subscribe, and go check out my course because I want to help you guys be the best dog trainers and how to bring out the best qualities in your dog. Mando, come.